on the next episode of Drankin Partners. Hey, Evans family, I'm home.
James, just in time. I got your favorite meal cooking.
Okay.
Fat back and oatmeal.
The fuck?
How was your day at work?
Look, Florida, I got some bad news, some worse news, and some fucked up news.
James, I'm sure it's gonna be okay.
Okay, so the bad news is I lost my job.
Oh, James, you lose your job every episode.
But then I got for the rent money at the pool hall. Man, that jive turkey at Chauncey.
Damn it, James. What's worse than that?
JJ got shot and I banged out with Lona. Now she's pregnant.
Damn it, James. What's worse than that?
Yo, oatmeal, Florida. Your oatmeal tastes like shit.
Damn.
You're listening to Love, Life and Liquor, a Drankin Partners podcast. If you like beer, food, sex, and talking about badass kids, then this is the podcast you've been waiting for. Now, here are your peoples, Marisha and Dom.
It's been an absolutely long-ass time. Drankin Partners Reloaded. We have several anniversaries that are coming up, or that have already passed. So on the 11th, December 11th, we actually had our wedding anniversary. How many years is that?
8 years.
Boom. Okay, so 8 years, right? So, and then we also have, at least for me, it's been almost a year that I retired from the good old Air Force. And then you retired as well.
It's been 8 months.
8 months. So a lot has changed. A lot has changed in this past year. Obviously, you know, everybody's been going through this pandemic, and we've been at home for a good year, almost some change, you know, dealing with the adjustments of being retired and trying to find jobs. I got a whole folder full of rejection letters. Like it's been rough. It's not, you know, I'm pretty sure it's been rough for a lot of other people, but we decided to come back and re-up with the Drankin Partners just to, you know, talk about our experiences, talk about, you know, marriage, kids. You know, our kids have gotten older in this time. Obviously, it hasn't been that long, but
It's been a while.
But a lot of things have changed just in this short period of time. Oh, and it's also almost a year to the day that I said we were going to have new episodes of Drankin Partners.
Welcome to our annual episode.
Yeah, I didn't put out shit. I put out absolutely nothing. It was supposed to be January 1st. And I was like, we got new shit. And then in February, we got new shit. And then we never put anything together.
2022.
But I think part of that was because, you know, with the adjustment, we had a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
But like, what have you been doing?
So I retired officially April 1st. So at first I was looking for jobs too. I was applying all the time. I kept working on my resume and I was literally spending all day like applying for jobs. And I got a couple of interviews and no callbacks and a bunch of no's. So that was a little disheartening. But then once I got my other money's coming in, I was like, I'm good. I don't need these jobs.
Good old retirement checks. It's definitely not what I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? When you're used to seeing, you know, regular monies when you're in uniform, and then you get out and it's like that first check shows up. And I was like, that was pretty rough. But we were doing okay. Outside of that, I think what a lot of folks were doing, you know, they decided, especially after all this pandemic business is going on, they don't want to go back in the office.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, going back in the office is not an option. You don't want to go back and deal with shitty coworkers. You don't want to go back and deal with shitty bosses. But I think more so kind of prove that you don't necessarily need to be at the job in order to do your job. So, you know, folks either want to do remote or they just realize, yo, I'm comfortable in what it is that I'm doing. So I'm either going to figure out a side hustle or I'm going to get a job that I really want to do where I don't have to actually go into the office. We kind of decided to start our own little businesses. Obviously, they're not all fleshed out, but so we'll see how that shakes out. But, because obviously it's going to be on us in terms of how, these businesses, work out. Yeah, that's what we've been up to. Drankin Partners. So nothing has changed. We are still talking about.
You forgot a whole big part of what we do every day.
What do you do?
We're homeschooling now.
I don't.
You don't talk about that?
No, we can't.
Oh.
No, what I was getting ready to say is I don't like it.
Okay, but I do.
Why?
Because at least for me, since retiring, and then, at first I really was I have to hurry up and get a job and go back out and get an office. And and then I realized I don't want to go to work for somebody else. I don't want to go to work.
Right.
And then the whole reason for me wanting to retire, I felt like me just jumping back in the job force like that just kind of negated the whole reason that I wanted to retire. And I might as well have just stayed on active duty if I was gonna do that. I mean, it's scary because literally half of my life was in the Air Force. So it's, really all that I knew.
It's like you spend more time in uniform than
you're
damn near out of it.
So realizing there's other options. I don't have to do things the way they've always been done.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into work. I don't have to work a 9 to 5. I don't have to send my kid to school if I don't want to, if I don't like what's going on at the school. Luckily we have options to where we could do that. But I just like being able to not necessarily control what he learns or what they learn.
Yeah.
But to be able to drive it and not just have that be up to somebody else, and to have him be around kids who look like him. Olive was telling us today, kids at school keep touching her hair. She's the only black kid in her class, and they're 3, but I mean, it's different. They think it's pretty, but she's like, I don't like them touching my hair. But if she was around more kids who look like her, they wouldn't think it was anything special. They might be like, oh, your hair's cute, and keep it moving.
It's kind of a compliment, but at the same time, it's
yeah, it's a compliment, but it's kind of setting her apart, that she's different. I think that's why she doesn't like it, because she likes for you to tell her she's pretty. She likes that a lot.
Very talkative.
She tells you she's pretty. I'm cute. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm not going to say I love every minute of every day, because that would be a lie, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy not starting school until 10. I enjoy not doing school on Fridays.
And you get a chance to go on field trips and
yeah, we have meetups every week. We go on field trips. We can do whatever we want. If we're having a bad day, and we've had a couple of bad days, we're school's canceled. We're done.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was in school and having a bad day,
it's a wrap.
Yeah.
You
and
just got to deal with it.
We learned some things that he didn't really learn in kindergarten, no diss to the teacher, because they were trying to teach through a pandemic and hybrid classroom models. But there were some things okay, let's do this, and found out he didn't really understand that. So I like being able to just
go back and do some reinforcement.
Yeah, and see how he learns, his learning style. I feel like we're seeing, even though obviously we're with him every day, his personality and just how he's growing, being able to see that and not sending him out of the house for 8 hours every day. Which some days I wish I could send him out the house, but I'm not gonna lie and say it's rainbows and gumdrops every day.
No. Did I say that I hated it before, or did I
you
say
said
I
you
did
don't
not
like it?
Okay, that's okay. I just want to make
but
sure that I
really
say nothing
enjoy
crazy.
it for the most part.
So yeah, I don't like it, and I think that's partly just because of me. When you're a senior NCO, whatever it is, you spend a lot of your military career teaching. You know what I mean? Teaching, airmen how to do stuff. It's a little different when it's your child. When you're teaching airmen, you're teaching adults, so your mouth is a little bit more reckless when folks aren't, getting it. I would say that I get frustrated because we've kind of broken up the block. So I'm responsible for teaching math on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then there's just some days where, obviously it's not his fault. He's sick, so he's learning all of this stuff. And something that I think is extremely easy. I'm like, dude, how come you're not getting it? And obviously it's not him, it's me, because I have to learn how to, provide the information in a way that, that he actually understands. Because there will be times where he gets it perfectly, and then I ask him the same question again, but like the numbers rearranged or whatever, and then he'll just be like, I don't know. And I'll be ready to spaz out, but I don't wanna play this game no more. I don't wanna feed the flame no more. I don't wanna play this game no more. With it comes frustration. And before I didn't have to deal with that because I just was able to send my kid to school, and then the teachers had to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? They had to be frustrated, and they just came home, and then I say, hey, what'd you learn today? And either he would tell me or he'd just be like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, as long as he's passing all his little assessments and all that, then I'm cool with it. But now I actually get to see firsthand what it is that he knows, like on a daily basis. So I would say that's good when there are times where we're talking about something, or I'm trying to coach him through something. He's like, I don't know. But then like later on in the week, he'll actually be talking about it and he'll be applying it perfectly. I'm like, oh shit, well, I guess I didn't do so bad, after all. So
I will say, this was never my dream. My dream was to retire and the kids go to school and I stay home by myself and do whatever I want. But
stay home by herself.
A stay-at-home mom, like stay-at-home mom, not with the kid.
Stay at home with your kid.
No. Stay at home by myself.
Right. But now she got to see me every day.
Well, no, I just didn't want to. I just want to be chilling, but that's not how it worked out.
I mean, I get it.
But also, we've only been doing this since September. So I try to, I'm on all the blogs, reading all the books and stuff. Like, we haven't been doing it that long. And I think it's a learning curve for all of us, especially us, because, and they say this happens to, people in the military when they retire. Like, we're so used to knowing how to do everything. Like, we're used to being the experts in our field, and now we're learning something different, and it's kind of like you're at that entry-level position again. Like, right. we're like teacher's aide level, and it's hard to like go to the bottom because we're used to knowing most things about most things. I won't say everything about everything, but
right.
So everybody's learning, but I'm pretty proud of us for this.
I think I'm more so proud of you.
Marking period. But the possibilities are endless in everything, I feel like now. Like, it just showed me there's so many options out there for everything, for work, for school, for just everything.
I think it was actually, it was scary too, because retiring at this point, like pandemic, COVID.
Like, is this a good idea?
Like, like this was the worst idea. Everybody's losing their job. Folks are losing their homes. And here we are. Oh, let's get out the military with your dumb ass. But we've been able to make it work so far. So, we've been fortunate to have, family in the area. So if anything does happen, then I'm going to go live in my mama's house.
Me too.
I'm gonna bring the whole family, and we're going to do some good time shit and just live in the bedroom of my mama's house. She gonna hate it, but I mean, she may love it because then we're all there at the same time. Yeah. And this episode is also brought to you by Hennessy and Coke.
Hey, girl. Girl, what you doing? Girl, I'm getting ready for my surgery. What? What happened, bitch? You know Sean Quavius is drinking that Hennessy again. Oh, he blew your back out? Yup. Doctor said I need a whole new back. Damn. A backiotomy? That's the third time this year.
Hennessy VSOP. Guaranteed to blow her back out. What are you drinking? What is this?
I got this from Trader Joe's today. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
It says Pampelone. Pampelone.
No, well,
I guess it's French, so that sounds real Spanish the way I said it.
Yeah.
Pampelone. Pampelone.
It's
Le merde.
It's a wine cocktail.
Okay.
Sparkling wine cocktail.
It's wine in a can. Don't class it up.
I know. It says wine cocktail. I like wine in a can. You can't judge a wine by its container.
I mean, that's true.
It's a French 75, so it's
What does that mean? A French
a
75?
cocktail. That's the name of it.
Oh.
Ambrosial, elderflower, juniper, and Meyer lemon delicately folded into fine French wine. It's not really high alcohol content or anything, but it tastes pretty good.
Let me see.
I think it's good for a summer day. I like my sparkling wine.
Okay, this isn't... it's not bad.
I like it.
I mean, it tastes like what you would think it would taste like with elderberries and...
It's elderflower. Just
elderflowers and ambrosial junipers. We can post a little picture of what this stuff looks like on our IG. If you didn't know, the Drankin Partners does have an IG page at Drankin Partners on IG. You can also check us out on YouTube as we start to populate the page once again. We still have our first and second episodes. That was our initial intro, back in the day. And then the second episode, we actually break down some wine from the McBride sisters. Actually, she breaks down the wine because she took the little wine class. Also, a great thing about Drinking Partners is the fact that we're going to have playlists. We know that people like music, so
yes.
Every single episode will have an associated playlist with music curated. Is that right? Curated
yes.
by us. The audio podcast, which you're listening to right now, this will focus more on the relationship, sides of things, and then of course, all of our video stuff will focus on foods and recipes and all the great things that we like regarding food and drink. So lots of stuff in the new year for the Drankin Partners. So you had mentioned a topic that we can jump into for our little inaugural episode, which was
cancel culture.
Cancel culture, and that's been kind of the thing over the I don't even know, like when this really became a thing. Was that during the pandemic? Was that 2020 to 2019?
No, I think it did start 2019, maybe the end of 2018, when we started seeing a lot of like the Me Too movement and just people calling out stuff. Like, I think it kind of all dovetailed in together. Like, everybody just got tired of
bullshit.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff, and I think the pandemic kind of highlighted a lot of that. Was that a 2019 Bill Cosby trial? Or when he was convicted? Because I know it took a long time. I think it was just like a dam waiting to burst.
But is that necessarily cancel culture? Because that is some shit that probably needed to happen.
No, it is. I'm just saying, I think that's kind of what the catalyst was for, like, hey, we need to call out bad behavior. Like, we've been letting so many things go on for so long. Like, we're just tired of it. Like, when I see it, I'm saying it. See something, say something.
Do you think that this has kind of gotten out of control, though? Because it seems like every week,
right,
every day, somebody's getting called out for some shit, and then you kind of like read like what it's about, and you're like, I don't necessarily know if we should be shitting on this person because it is.
I don't think it's gotten out of control. I think, like you were talking about, you saw something and somebody said something was racist, and you're like, this doesn't even have nothing to do with race. I think sometimes people are just like, when they call out behavior or call out something, automatically that label, like cancel culture, gets thrown on it. But like, if you're doing something wrong, then you
probably need to be called out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But canceling is something different. But I think it's kind of gotten like mixed up.
I think a lot of things have gotten mixed up.
Or diluted. Mm-hmm. For example, I forget the video. I don't know if you're going to link it or whatever. This will even make it a thing.
Okay.
But about R. Kelly. Because we talked about R. Kelly, and it's like, obviously R. Kelly's a monster.
Yeah.
But you're like, but I really like.
Yo, man.
Look, I will admit it. I used to love the song Imagine That. I loved it.
Seems Like You're Ready is the coldest. That whole 12 play album was absolutely, it was flawless. But I'm not allowed to play. I'm not allowed to play any of that stuff in the house.
You shouldn't, because you have a wife and a daughter.
Agreed.
And you're a human.
Agreed.
In this society. But the thing was, like I said, even I was like, well, I mean, I already bought it. Like, should I break the CD?
But a lot of folks feel as if that you should separate the artist from the monster that he is. But then you have other folks that say, well, looking back at the music, was this dude really writing his stuff based off his experiences of dealing with them children? You know what I'm saying? Because then it puts it in a total different context, and you're like, ew. Like I don't want to do anything.
But like that's who we know R. Kelly for. Like I don't just know R. Kelly because I know him or because he was a scientist or something. Like I know him because of his music. So to me, I think it's hard to separate him, the art from the artist. And that video that I sent you when the lady was talking about like why we're so upset about this, and like that really made me be like, no, it's not okay to listen to the music, because it was like a spoof video, but it was kind of like people still want to listen to R. Kelly and stuff because they like the music, and they kind of want to be like, oh, well, let's separate the art from the artist and all this kind of stuff. But she kind of talks more about it. And I was like, I felt kind of convicted, and I was like, yeah, I guess I need to throw those CDs away. Like I'm taking it off my playlist. I'm not playing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if it comes on the radio, I'm not going to listen to it just because it's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Like just because it didn't happen to me or my kid, I want to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
But those families who were affected, do you think they were like, well, R. Kelly's music is still really good? I'm sure they ain't playing R. Kelly.
I mean, I don't want to laugh, but I mean, it's fucked up.
But when it's not you, it's easy to say that. And I think just like with Black Lives Matter stuff, when people are like, oh, well, I don't see color. That's never been my experience. Well, it's my experience. So I need you to listen to me and take what I'm saying and believe it, just because you haven't experienced it, and be like, let's call a thing a thing. But the article that I sent you earlier, like I feel like that has gotten out of control, because there's a university, a Fordham professor. He accidentally mixed up two students' names.
They were black.
Two black students. The professor was white. They came into class. They were late. He was like,
hey, Bobby and Tommy. I mean, Tommy and Bobby.
Yeah.
Go sit down.
I don't know this man. I don't know these students. I'm not associated with Fordham University. All I know is from when I read this article. But after that, he sent out a 9-page email to everybody in the class apologizing and saying all these things that he's done for social justice and how sorry he is. And like if they feel offended, that they should go to leadership. And he doesn't know if he'll stay there, but
he said it's up to you.
It's up to you. And he ended up getting fired. But from what I read in the article, some of the kids were like, I don't even know what happened. Yeah. They weren't offended, but the way I read it, like he was so worried about being canceled, he ended up canceling himself. So I think he put like all this extra stuff in the email that ended up being offensive. So my thing with cancel culture is I think some things like are just dead wrong. I think some things people make mistakes. Abuse is always wrong.
Yeah.
Like R. Kelly's always wrong. Bill Cosby is always wrong.
But I think this is kind of like what you were talking about before, where the calling out of, I mean, the students didn't even call it out. I mean, he called it out, but it's kind of gotten so out of control to he was scared that he was, going to get fired for something that was minor. You know what I mean? So then he got to apologizing, but then like you said, he started throwing all sorts of shit in the email that was probably offensive as hell, and then the students were like, oh, well.
Maybe this motherfucker needs to go because...
Yeah. But that wasn't even a cancel culture situation, but he got so nervous or whatever. Maybe he deserved to be canceled. I don't know. Like I said, there's not like a ton of details in the article, but even one of the tags is cancel culture on the email. So
that is crazy. So let's go ahead and do I just kind of pulled this out my ass. Speed round. Cancel culture speed round. Gosh. Okay, so first one. DaBaby. Should he be canceled?
Yes. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because he is not sorry for, in my opinion, I don't really follow him. Like, I don't follow him on anything. Like, I just see in the news. But, like, you make a mistake. Then you make this mistake again. Then you make a mistake again. Then you double down on it. Then you make a song about it.
He did.
And we want to cancel Dave Chappelle for talking about the thing that he did, but we don't want to cancel him. Like, it makes no sense.
Should Dave Chappelle be canceled?
No.
Why?
Because I feel I don't know Dave Chappelle. I feel like his intentions were different. Like, I feel like when you are malicious about something, that's different than if you make mistakes. Like, we're all humans. We're all going to make mistakes. Yeah. We're all going to offend somebody at some times. But I feel like if you genuinely apologize, then I feel like things can be forgiven. There are some things that are unforgivable, like I said, like abuse and stuff. But like, I will never support R. Kelly again. He can get saved. He can become a prison preacher. Like, that's awesome. But I will never like buy R. Kelly music again.
No, I'm pretty sure there ain't gonna be no more R. Kelly
Well, yeah.
music, and he's probably gonna catch some of the same abuse and D-block.
Gosh, edit that out. But I just feel like the baby is not remorseful at all. I feel like he doesn't get it.
Okay, next, Chrissy Teigen.
Okay. So here's where I feel like
This
it's
was out of control?
forgivable. She
Okay.
was out of control.
How so though?
I just feel like she wasn't very nice to people, and just because you say it as a joke or because people like you, I know how
Okay.
you feel about it. But that girl, she was a child when she said that to her.
What is a child though?
Like, she was a teenager, and she was in a very weird relationship. Like, her husband was like 51 years old.
Who?
That girl, I forget her name. The girl who she told her. that
So the
she-
girl was a teenager, but she was married to some dude that was 50. See, I didn't know all that. That's weird.
Yes. The guy from the Green Mile. The jerk cop guy from the Green Mile.
Oh,
She was married to him.
that's
I
weird.
want to say she started dating him when she was like 16 or something, and he was older than her parents.
Schmenny who?
So I feel like she's already in a situation, just a weird situation
So then
where
Chrissy-
adults are taken advantage of, and now
then
here
Chrissy
comes
Teigen
another
says something
adult.
crazy.
Yeah,
What'd she say? Go kill yourself?
something to that effect.
I don't know. I think over social media though.
Yeah,
Like, she didn't say that to this girl's face or
No.
whatever.
but Chrissy Teigen has been known to be a troll, but people typically think it's funny because it's not happening to us.
But I still think that's funny just for, man, we probably gonna get canceled for that shit because
I'm not gonna get
yeah,
canceled.
I feel like all the stuff,
You
you
might
know,
get canceled.
obviously growing up, like we said, way worse than, that doesn't necessarily make it right. You know what I'm saying? That we say way worse, but especially over social media, I don't look at social media as real.
But I think it's worse because it's in front of the whole world.
But at the same time, you can turn the shit off.
You
like
can.
Like if somebody says, you know, go fuck yourself. Well, like just turn the phone off. I don't necessarily respond. Like,
But if they say it on social media, even if they're not saying it to you, they're saying it about you on their page. For example, you got the Barbs, you got the
who are the Barbs?
Beehive, that's Nicki Minaj.
Okay.
The Beehive,
Yeah.
Beyonce.
Mhm.
Was it the Navy's Rihanna?
Yeah.
Like,
And their
they
fans
wouldn't-
are out of control.
and they will come for. I'm just using them as examples because
Yeah.
I don't know the
Because
names.
they have
of-
a big following.
And like, Beyonce doesn't even say anything on social media. But if somebody says something about Beyonce on social media, on the internet,
They
the
get-
Beehive comes
they-
after them.
They on her neck,
So even if you're not going directly at that person, you're putting it out there.
and somebody's gonna get bullied for it.
Yeah, people are gonna. So just because Chrissy Teigen said it,
Yeah.
who knows how many other people were
Yeah.
coming at her saying stuff like that. Like,
I can
I would
get-
rather
I-
you say it to my face or text
I
it
guess
to
I
me.
can get with that, especially, you know, obviously generations are different, but you know, you do see sometimes the outcomes aren't so great when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to, you know, children or, you know, individuals having to deal with online bullying. So I should
Courtney
say
Stodden, that's her name.
that's I guess that's just because it's not a real thing for me doesn't mean it's not necessarily a real thing for them. Okay, let's move on for that. Ellen DeGeneres,
Because she's a bad boss.
because she's a shitty boss. Shitty. Should we no longer support Ellen DeGeneres and her whack dancing? I mean, she came out and said, I'm sorry.
I feel like it's forgivable. I already don't watch Ellen anyway. It's forgivable if she really means it. Like, if she continues to keep doing it, like, I don't know what she's gonna do in the future. If she's gonna like direct movies or a sitcom
Yeah.
or whatever. But if people around her keep saying she's doing the same thing, then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Toxic workplace culture.
But I'm like,
'Cause you know
I've
in
had
the-
people who say,
Because you know in the military, boy, they,
should I have been canceled?
because somebody called you toxic.
They didn't call me toxic, but I mean, I guess that's what they were alluding to. Like, in not so many words, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you get somebody else to say it,
No,
or
but-
even if
but I
even
think-
if they really felt like that,
But the difference is that hers was documented by multiple individuals, not just one motherfucker who potentially toxic themselves You know what I'm saying that to you. Like, this was like, I guess everybody on her staff was just like, I don't enjoy working for her. Last one, Justin Timberlake. You know, he recently came under fire because of his relationship with Britney Spears. I guess he had, caused her some issue because he kind of back in the day, he kind of leaked the fact that he banged it. You know, when obviously that is something that she didn't want everybody to know. And then the other side of that is when he showed Janet Jackson's ninja titties.
I remember.
You remember she had like that big ninja star, and she's the one that ended up having to apologize. And my man went on to be Justin Timberlake. So they kind of like, I don't want to say they re-canceled, because I don't think he was canceled the first time. But
no, that was the problem.
They kind of came back for him.
I don't want to say he should be canceled, because he was young too, and he was just benefiting off of a system that was made to benefit him. Like, I'm a man, I can do all this stuff.
I banged Britney Spears,
and she's gonna be the one who looks bad, even though I'm saying I was there. Like, I did this thing too, but she's gonna catch the heat for it. Janet Jackson caught the heat for it, even though he's the one who ripped her thing off. And so, I mean, why would he be like,
hey guys, actually, this is my bad.
He kind of rode the wave of
he did
his privilege. Did he apologize now?
Yeah, he did. He just recently apologized and said that I apologize, especially in light of Britney getting her freedom from her pops or whatever.
Right.
And then I don't know if it was like the anniversary. I don't even know why they even brought up Janet Jackson, but I think he was probably
she has like a new series out stuff too.
Lumping all them shits up like, my bad. All the things that I had did to some of these women, and I wasn't necessarily held accountable, for my actions.
I feel like we are learning a lot of things. Justin Timberlake is like my age. So I want to say he's 40, 41, 42, something like that, maybe 39. And I feel like when we were that age, like in our 20s and stuff, we really didn't know any better.
What you mean when you know any better?
As far as like...
You know that you don't go around saying wild shit about some woman, like, just to be cool. I mean, even if the man wasn't, what they call lying in your dick, like, he might have been telling the truth, but the point was, he shouldn't have been telling
he
the
shouldn't
media,
have, but what I'm saying is, like, how that would affect her, because they talk about Britney Spears and, like, other girls who became so, like, sexualized and stuff. Like, I don't think he realized, like, the long-term effects of those type of things.
Okay.
And, like, I've told you about things that happened in the military to me, and I was like, well, I didn't say anything. Like, it was nothing major, people, like, assault. But, I mean, there was things that I definitely probably should have reported, and I was just like, I mean, it's just, I think, like I was saying, like, now we're at a point where we're like, no, if this is wrong, I'm going to say it. Where before maybe we're more quiet about it, people just sucked it up, and even though it was like the 2000s, women still have been in a place to where we didn't feel like we could say things, because women had been saying things and nobody...
And they got shit on for it.
Yeah. And then, like I said, some man comes along and says something, and you're like, oh yeah, this is a problem. And you're like, I've been saying that.
Got it.
I don't want to say he's a victim of the time, but I definitely think he benefited from the time, and nobody tried to educate him better on what he should have done. But now, if he's really...
sorry and remorseful?
Yeah. Because, I mean, we talk about, like, the music with us. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I used to...
listen to that?
Or, like, shows that we used to watch, like...
That's true.
And we thought nothing was wrong with it.
I think we knew that something was wrong with it. It was just that it was a little bit more acceptable back then.
Don't hate me, y'all. I'm going to say this. So, like, in Living Color. I used to watch In Living Color.
Oh, you about to say something blasphemous.
I didn't think anything was wrong with, like, men on film.
That shit is hilarious. Hated it. What's wrong with men on films?
Like, I can see how that could be offensive to other people now.
Is it though? Because they was making fun of people. It's because it was two straight dudes talking about
what
they're stereotypical.
Yeah.
You right. That it wouldn't fly today. Like, it wouldn't. That type of comedy.
But we were sitting in our living rooms with families watching it and laughing at it, like, and it was okay. And I was like, I wouldn't do that now.
But you don't think that when it comes to comedy, that you are afforded some sort of leeway because a lot of this stuff is a parody. It's truthful, but at the same time, it's not always going to be the accurate representation because it's supposed to be funny. Because if everything was that damn serious, then like why would we be watching it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another show that we were watching and we were like, oh my gosh, like this would never fly these days.
Like watching Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah, I feel like we were just ignorant to a lot of stuff.
I don't think we were ignorant. I just think that once again, a lot of the stuff that we considered funny back then was just that's just what was acceptable. Like a lot of folks are getting,
but it was acceptable, but at the detriment of another group that we were not a part of.
Yeah.
So I can be like, it was okay because it was acceptable.
I'm not saying it was okay because it was acceptable. I'm just saying that it was acceptable at the time because if it wasn't, then they would have got shit on for it.
Well, a lot of things used to be acceptable.
You're right.
Like Jim Crow South used to be acceptable.
Slavery, lynching.
Until it wasn't acceptable.
Until it wasn't acceptable. Because like I guess I didn't mention him, but like I guess Matt Damon had been brought up for saying the F word a lot. Not fuck. The other F word.
Oh. I was like,
yeah, the other F word. You don't really say that.
Right.
But yeah, it sucks to be him. So there's that.
Yeah, I think you're not gonna know the experiences of other groups because you're never gonna be part of that group. Like I'm never gonna know what it's like to be a man.
Yeah.
I'm more than likely never gonna know what it's like to be part of the LGBTQ community.
You said what?
I said I'm never gonna know what it's like to be.
No, you said
I said more than likely. I mean,
well, shit. Do you think that sometimes people are too sensitive? Because I think that falls in line with cancel culture. Do you think that people are always just quick? Like I said, I can't remember what the post was, but when somebody dropped "that's racist," and I'm like, what the like? It had absolutely nothing to do with racism or race whatsoever. But people were so quick to drop that, and then, you know what I'm saying, it was kind of like blood in the water. And then everybody was like, oh, everybody started liking it and then commenting on it. And then the outrage turns into, potential cancellation of said individual. Like, you can't tell somebody how to feel, but at the same time, just because you say it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. You know what I'm saying? I
mean, as a sensitive person, I'm hesitant to say people being too sensitive because if I'm not in that group, like I can't tell you how you've been feeling or what you've been going through like for all this time, or people think it's okay like just because you're this or just because you're that, like, oh well, that's only a couple of people who fall into this category, or I mean, I just really can't say. And even if I feel like you're being too sensitive, I'm not the determiner of what feelings are appropriate and inappropriate. Maybe some actions of organizations are too much. So we'll use the CEO of Netflix, for example.
Okay.
With Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
He made a choice to be like, we're still going to continue to support Dave Chappelle. Like, I understand I have these people who work here who are not happy about this. He could have been like, you know what? We're going to pull every Dave Chappelle thing from our lineup. Like, you're not going to see it on Netflix no more. Like, we're going to disassociate with Dave Chappelle because we had these people who said they are upset.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And I don't think that means like their feelings are invalid, but they made a choice to continue to partner with Dave Chappelle for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think part of it's probably money.
Yeah, because they already paid him. He already cashed him checks.
Pretty sure part of that was money.
I'm sure a large part of it is money. But he did say like they don't want to censor art too much. Like if it's not directly motivating like crime or
inciting violence.
Yeah.
Got it.
Then they will allow it. Because we all have our freedom of speech, and that's a whole nother thing. Like how
do you balance that?
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to think there was a lot of comedy, back then that was probably offensive as but then it's kind of like where do you draw the line?
Yeah. But I think the
like,
decision makers,
like who are you allowed to talk about, and how come some folks are exempt, some people aren't? Yeah, that's a rough one.
I think decision makers have a lot of responsibility. Because like I said, you can't say you're being too sensitive. You feel how you feel. Okay. Now what we do after that, like that's a whole different story.
What else you got? Nothing. Well, hot damn. We covered a lot in the re-up episode. So be sure to tune in to Love, Life, and Liquor, a Drankin Partners podcast once a week on all your streaming platforms. Plus, our bi-weekly Jones on YouTube where we break down recipes, drink beer, we eat chips, and all that good stuff. So we got a lot of great content on the way, and we want y'all to be a part of it. Also, check out our playlist on Spotify, and all the links for everything that we talked about today will be listed below. I'll make sure I play some R. Kelly tonight. Alexa.
No, sir. No, sir. We out.
Right.
Thanks for tuning in to Love, Life and Liquor. Make sure to like, subscribe and follow on all platforms. And be sure to tell the mandem about us.